Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Tuesday, May 23rd. And what a show we've got. We've got a full house here on this Tuesday edition. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we got not one but two guests with us today. Nikita Kashersky, our good friend, back with us. And, of course, Sammy P., who was with us on the Betcast not too long ago, is back as well. Sammy, we'll start with you. Good to have you with us. I know you're fresh off doing a show, Ness and Bets. You can check that out daily with Sammy, part of that production. But how are things with you? How are you enjoying the conference finals? How's it treating you betting-wise so far?
Ooh, so many questions, so little time. Good to be back, first and foremost. Conference finals have been okay. Hit a little Florida game one. No big deal, no sweat at all. Didn't wait up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I need Dallas to win the West. That's an Alex Smith special from about a month ago. So holding out faith for that one. And I can tell you, Ian, I am a lot more sober than I was the last time I was on this program.
That goes for all of us, probably, at this rate. This is the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, and we were definitely in one a couple weeks ago. That's every Betcast. And that's a great segue, Sammy, because I was going to wait, but because you mentioned that Betcast, I'm going to throw it out there that we have another one coming up tomorrow night. It'll be Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Carolina, Florida. The Panthers looking to complete the sweep. I love doing my Panther sound there, but they're looking for the sweep, and we will see if they can get the job done. 8 p.m. Eastern for the Betcast tomorrow night, so make sure you join us for that. Again, DM me at Bobano on Twitter or email bobano350@gmail.com, and we'll make sure we get you a spot on the Betcast for Game 4, which could be the last game of the series for all we know, tomorrow night with the Hurricanes and the Panthers. Nikita Kashersky back with us again. I know we did a Patreon video interview a couple months ago with Nikita. If you didn't see it, check it out because he talks a lot about the business he's running right now as well and doing great work with that. But I know that's keeping you busy right now, Nikita, in your post-hockey playing days. But how much of the conference finals have you been able to watch, and how are things with you currently?
Thanks, Ian. I'm glad to be back here. Always a lot of fun being part of your podcast. Things been going busy. I mean, I love watching playoff hockey. It's the best time of the year right now. You know, it's keeping me company while I'm working late at night. Usually in the background, but still very exciting games. A lot of upsets. I love it. I like Dallas, that's for sure. You know, I do think they're going to take both games right now back to back. I feel like they got the two games going.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, Vegas is a very strong team for sure. I think they are the favorites, but I think, you know, Dallas obviously surprised everyone with the season they had. They have a lot of experience out there as well. And I think Vegas has just been this season just so up and down. But even though they ended up right there at the top, but their season was like with a lot of things going on there, with Eichel coming in, you know, back from everything that he's been part of. So I think their unstable thing will, you know, pop in for a couple of games here. But I think that game will go 6 or 7 games. But Florida is just interesting. I'm upset my Colorado lost. My Jared Bednar lost. I was really cheering for him, and I was cheering for Spencer Carberry. He's, you know, my ex-lineman. He's an assistant in Toronto. Was cheering for him to, you know, take that
highly
team
sought
to the
after
next
potential
step.
head coaching candidate now as well. Yep.
He is, yeah. I think it's between him and Jeff Halpern, who's the Maryland native right there. You know, for him to take the Capitals job. I don't know what's going to happen now with Toronto GM out, and who's going to be the next GM. If they're going to be doing a coaching change or not. So we'll see how things are going. But he has had a tremendous career, just up and up and up and up, and, you know, up and coming and young coach. He's a great guy. Absolute beauty. It was a lot of fun playing with him on the same line. It was actually my rookie year when I just joined South Carolina. I joined him and another good friend of mine.
Kelly Cup champion team, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was the Kelly Cup champion team. We were the third line, which we're between me, Spencer Carberry, and another friend of ours, Matt. We call this the best third line in the league ever. Self-proclaimed. But we actually had a lot of success, three of us playing together. So it was a lot of fun. And he's a great guy. I enjoyed playing with him. We played a couple of years in South Carolina, and then he moved on to coaching and was an assistant coach there. And just happy for him how his career has been, just going through juniors and now into AHL and now, going to NHL. So great to see him have a great success.
Yeah, and of course, he was a part of Sheldon Keefe's staff. Sheldon Keefe's dangling in the wind now with, of course, Kyle Dubas getting let go as general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's going to be interesting to see where not only Keefe, but where his assistants end up following what happened in Toronto last week. A soap opera drama-filled week it was for the Toronto Maple Leafs last week. Yep. No question about that. It's funny, Nikita, that you mentioned Jeff Halpern. Because it's funny, after Laviolette got fired by the Washington Capitals, I actually ended up asking Carl Alsner, who was with us last year during the playoffs. I asked him, who do you think should be the new head coach of the Capitals? Because he knows that team well. And Carl Alsner's response to me was Jeff Halpern. I really think Jeff Halpern's the perfect fit. He's a DC guy. He's a Maryland area guy. He played for the Washington Capitals. And guess what? Guess where he's been coaching all these years? Yeah, under John Cooper for the Tampa Bay Lightning as an assistant head coach. Is there a better coaching tree to come from these days in the NHL than John Cooper? It could be a lot worse than that. So you talk about someone that's learned from one of the best. And, we see it all the time in the NFL. How many head coaches in the NFL or assistant coaches in the NFL learn from a great head coach, and that head coach, basically all their assistants end up becoming head coaches at some point. And we're seeing that now with John Cooper in Tampa Bay. Derek Lalonde's already a head coach in Detroit. And now it looks like Jeff Halpern. It might be another John Cooper disciple, if you will, or John Cooper assistant that might be about to become an NHL head coach. So definitely something to keep an eye on. It definitely has some traction to it that Halpern could end up with the Capitals. Alex, how are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, make sure Halpern doesn't spill the beans on any John Cooper secrets like Lalonde did in that first round when they were playing. You got to keep things quiet if you're going to branch out.
It is funny though. Cooper had a problem with what Lalonde said, but then I turn around and I'm watching Cooper on my television the other night on TNT as an analyst in Game 2. So
right, yeah, it's kind of funny to see that. But that'd be interesting to see. Last night, we're just seeing the continuation of this Cinderella story of the Florida Panthers, just, finding ways to win games in the craziest of fashions, and, a 1-0 game. You don't expect to see that in today's game. Even in the playoffs, it would be in kind of, slower paced and seeing more unders coming in. But it's just Carolina just seems to kind of be running out of steam. And I said that Carolina needed to get off to the same hot start we saw in games 1 and 2. They couldn't deviate away from the plan, and it just seemed like it was kind of an extension of one of these overtimes to start the game. The first period did not have much energy going one way or the other, and Florida just able to withstand the storm, get the one goal they needed, continue to get great goaltending and play great defense. And now here they are, one win away from hoisting the Prince of Wales Trophy and going to the Stanley Cup Final. It's absolutely incredible.
It is, and we'll begin there, obviously, and talk about last night's game. Then we'll get into Vegas-Dallas preview for tonight. But I think when you look at last night's game, if you're Rod Brind'Amour, you're at your wit's end. I mean, and he said it in his press conference perfectly after the game. How much more can we do other than put the puck in the net? That's the glaring exception, obviously. We got to score a goal, but carrying the play, check. Outshooting the opponent, check. Not giving Florida very much offensively, check. Really, the goal that Reinhart scored was a broken play on a power play. That's about it. That's about the only thing they gave up, Carolina. 5-on-5 even strength. They did not give Carolina very many high-quality, high-danger scoring chances. They played a really solid game, and unfortunately they have nothing to show for it but another L. And that's the third game in a row they're going to walk away from this series thinking, we played well enough to win, and how the hell are we down 3-0 right now? How the fuck is this possible with the way we've played in this year? We haven't played that bad. We've played pretty good, actually. I'll tell you why they're down 3-0. It's because this is one of the great runs in recent playoff memory for me that I've seen out of one goaltender. And Sergei Bobrovsky, now goalie Bob, as we call him, this is now just an exceptional run. There's everything about his game is on point. His positioning, he's square to the shooter, he's cutting down angles. His post-to-post movement, which I never thought was that great. Clearly I was wrong, because his post-to-post lateral movement is what made that brilliant save in game 2 that he had. getting post to post, and his athleticism is there right now. Reading the play is well there. He's using his mask, basically headbutting a puck out of harm's way to make a save right now. He's just on top of it. He's dialed in. He's seeing the puck very well. They're playing well in front of him, but when the breakdown does happen, and it's been rare for Florida, goalie Bob's been there to clean up the mess. And really, this series comes down to, for Carolina, you got to put the puck in the freaking net. It comes down to that. And Aho, nothing in this series, really. Natchez, my guy, who I've lauded this player for this year and last year, and he's gone quiet. Their big guns are shooting blanks right now, Carolina, and I get it. Goalie Bob's a big reason why, but they've eventually got to pop one in. It's not that we got chances league. We have shots on goal league. We hit a few goalposts in this year, and they've hit more than a few, Carolina, in this series. Goalposts, crossbars. It's not a we had some posts and some crossbars league. It's a we get it done league. We've got to find a way to score. That's what the production has to be there. And I know there's always teams that lament chances and shots, and we played the right way, and the puck's just not going in. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to, or else you're not winning the series. And that's where Carolina's at. Their game is in a good spot. They're playing well defensively. Their own goaltender, Freddie Anderson, has had a solid series, but the puck's not going in. And somehow, I don't care what it takes, they've got to correct it, or else they could be going home in 4 straight. Sammy, what have you seen from this series so far? And Florida looking to close it out tomorrow night.
Just a lot of unders, man. I mean, every time you look up, the live total is crawling down and down in these games. And looking ahead to game 4, we're already seeing some Vegas numbers at under -30 on 5 in the hook. And, I don't know that it gets to 5, but I wouldn't rule it out. It's certainly possible. Not a lot of open ice at all in this series. And it's 2 really good goaltenders and 2 really strong forechecks. And I remember when the series started, I thought this was probably going to be like a 6-game series. Like Nikita said, probably 6 games. Obviously looks like it's going to be a lot shorter than that. But I thought 5.5 was a pretty low total, but low for a reason. I thought, well, if it goes 6 games, we'll probably see 4 out of 6 games go under. I mean, these games haven't been close in terms of the total. Like, you never had to sweat an under bet. Now, I think also it's something to think about, because these guys played, Brandon Montour played an hour of fucking ice time in game 1. Yep. Right? I mean, these guys are on the ice for 40, 45, 50, some guys almost 60 minutes. Like, that has to wear them down over the course of a series, right? Like, you only get the one night off. So I don't think there's going to be enough time to recharge these batteries to where we're going to get a 7-5 game at any point in this series, even with market correction, even with goals going in. Like, you can't make me bet the over 5.5.
Certainly that's true. Now, we do have our famous angle that we've talked about for years coming into play in an elimination game, which is the 3rd period over. But if you're going to touch an over tomorrow night, that might be the only thing you look at, is maybe that 3rd period over. But then again, you got to get goals in the 3rd period to get that to go over. And right now, Carolina's just not putting pucks in the net. Bobrovsky's just been a complete and utter brick wall back there. It's the Bulin wall, essentially. Reminds me of Javi Bulin many years ago. That's what I called it. Another great Russian goaltender from back in the day. That is the way Bobrovsky's playing right now. So the angle says elimination game, bet 3rd period over, and I don't even know if I trust that right now, with just the inability to finish that the Carolina Hurricanes have at the moment. A big part of that, of course, being the goaltender. Nikita, your fellow Russian, he's stealing the series right now. He's stealing the show. He's really stealing the headlines across the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs right now, Sergei Bobrovsky. And after that shutout last night, I actually think he's taken the lead over Matthew Tkachuk as the Conn Smythe favorite if Florida wins the Stanley Cup. I mean, I think his impact on this run for the Florida Panthers is becoming Tkachuk's been phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but I think Bobrovsky's impact on getting Florida to this point, Nikita, it's even shining even more than Tkachuk.
Well, I think so, yeah. He's definitely stepped it up, but I feel like if Tkachuk's going to keep scoring OT goals, I mean, he might take it.
Yeah, he scored big ones. Yep.
Oh, yeah, big goals. I mean, when they made that trade, I was just like, interesting when they traded for him. That was an interesting trade, 100-point guy, for a 100-point guy, and they just kind of flip-flopped. It was very interesting, but wow, what an impact he had on Florida. I mean, he was the MVP for them for the season, I think, as well. And I mean, with the goalies, it just goes like that. Like, remembering through just playing back, back in the day when I was playing, it was the same ways. Whoever is the hottest, and I think Florida didn't start with him, right? They went with the younger guy, and then they went back
Alex
in.
Lyon began the Boston
Yeah,
series. We have to remember that. And
exactly.
Bobrovsky
Yeah,
was giving up 5 goals in some games in that
yeah.
Boston series as well.
It was a
It's
crazy
totally
series. Yeah.
changed since then.
Yeah, I think they went in. I think Boston lost that. It's not like Florida won that series. Boston lost that series, but we're not going to be judging. Winner is a winner. And now they just completely changed their game. I mean, they're blocking so many shots. That's why they're obviously he's making the saves. Goalies, the great goalie is the one who's stopping the ones that should be going in. Not the ones that he should be stopping those, but the one that is actually stopping those that those were supposed to go in. And that's what he's doing now. And for the rest, I mean, they're blocking so many shots. If they weren't blocking, I mean, it wouldn't be 40 shots. It would be like 60 shots or something. Or, when they went to overtime, it would have been almost close to 100 shots. So obviously, it comes together as a puzzle. And I think they're playing a great hockey right now. And obviously, they're very high in their success right now. And it's going to be very hard. But one thing going for Carolina is they're home, for this game number 4. And, actually, they're away for this game number 4, and it sucks to be away for that game. But I think you put everything you got, and if they win that game, the best part for them is they're going back home, and it's you just take it game after game.
Yep.
And I think if they take this one, I think they might take another one at home, so they might actually come back 3-2 back to Florida. I would say that could be a possibility, unless Florida plays and Bobrovsky plays in another terrific game. Defensively and in the net.
This is one of those series where it's 3-0 Florida right now. It could be 3-0 Carolina, or at the very least 2-1 Carolina. That is how razor thin the margin has been in this series. But again, that's neither here nor there at this point. Fact of the matter is Florida's got 3 wins on the board. And I said this yesterday, Nikita and Sammy on the show, is that nobody cares right now about whether this blue line was mediocre during that. And I didn't think much of the Florida blue line. And I thought coming into this series, it was a mismatch for Carolina's blue line over Florida's. Because after after Montour and Ekblad and Forsling, it's a big drop-off to the next 3 defensemen for the Florida Panthers, where Carolina 1 through 6 is pretty steady, and they've got quite a bit of depth back there. But you can say what you want about how these guys played in the regular season, and it wasn't always great, but they're getting like all-world performances, playing over their heads, playing much better than they have in the past. Obviously, that's the case with Josh Mahura and Radko Gudas and some of these depth defensemen for Florida. But the fact is they're playing this way right now, and that's why they've upped their game at the right time of year. Bobrovsky's upped his game at the right time of year. How many times did I see him get pulled this year? Sergei Bobrovsky, and have injuries and then the illness late in the season. And they were so unsure. Paul Maurice was so unsure of Sergei Bobrovsky's health and Sergei Bobrovsky's ability and consistency in net down the stretch of the regular season that I'm convinced he was ready to return from that illness long before he finally did in the Boston series. He was eligible to play long before that. They just didn't have the confidence in him. That is how mediocre his season was. Sergei Bobrovsky, that Alex Lyon was the guy that they trusted to win them those games down the stretch just to get into the damn playoffs. And then sure enough, Lyon finally has that slip up against Boston. I think the Marchand goal in that series, what was it, game 2, I believe, which just is right through him. He's probably got to stop it. And then Bobrovsky gets the call and doesn't look back. But then even at that moment, they're like, we got to put Bob in. Bob's had a mediocre season, not great, not consistent, coming off injury and a long illness. How's he going to play? I have no clue. And now fast forward to May 23rd today, and look at Sergei fucking Bobrovsky, man. Unbelievable. What an incredible run out of almost nowhere. Not that we didn't think he could play this way, because we saw it years ago when he won a Vezina. But this year, with such mediocrity from this guy for 3/4 of the season, now you see what he's doing. Unreal. That's the word. Unreal.
And what makes it even. So you can say, Nikita.
What I was just mentioning, don't forget this team won a President's Cup last year. So, and the team hasn't changed that much. So, it was just, I think, their whole identity, trying to find the identity in the goalie situation. I think that came in, but now they're all back. They bought in. I think there was this game where Paul Maurice flipped out on the players. I think that was maybe the turning point of that.
That's
of
when
this
the run
team.
started.
Yep,
100%.
exactly. Yep. That was the one. I think he had fed up with just ups and downs all over the place, and I think guys bought in. And once the team buys in, and once they're all in, for the one, I think that's dangerous, especially a team like that won the President's Cup.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And-
Although
and
I
the
got to give
thing
you
with-
some hell. I got to give Nikita some hell though, because that's a pet peeve of mine. I hear someone call it the President's Cup. That's golf. That's golf. The President's Cup. President's
Trophy. There you go.
President's Trophy. There we go. There we go.
There you go.
Put that
And
in
I'm
there.
the hockey guy.
But just to tag in with Bobrovsky, though, what makes this run even more incredible is that the fact that, this was kind of documented a few years ago in his career about how he loses about 10 to 15 pounds, basically like in every game. And the fact that he was, in there and playing this 4 overtime game to still have enough energy to make these big time saves in game 2 and in game 3, as opposed to where we saw Frederik Andersen play game 1, had to sit out game 2 to go with Ronta, and then go back to Anderson. That just makes it kind of even a more of a remarkable story. It's kind of interesting. You talk about, who would edge out whom in the Conn Smythe potential. It's really neck and neck if you kind of throw that in too, just how bad of a regular season he had, what he goes through just to play the game on a average night. And like I said, just coming out of nowhere to, have this vintage form. It's something, interesting to watch for sure.
You say 10 pounds a game?
Yeah. Yeah, if you see a photo of him like in the locker room,
10 pounds in a game?
Yeah, like he looks like super sick whenever he takes his pads and stuff off because he's lost so much weight. Like it's wild.
I need the Bobrovsky diet after hearing that. 100%.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just pretend to play goal and chug a bunch of water like he always talks about too. Chug bottles of water and maybe I'll lose some beer weight that I've gained here in the last
amazing.
Year or two.
Just go in the backyard or something. Ask like some kid, neighbor kid, just start clapping stones at you, man, for like a couple hours.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get our workout in. We'll go on the Bobrovsky diet and we'll chug some water. Chug multiple bottles of water and we'll see if it works on me. 15 pounds. Knowing my luck, it won't. That's just my 2 cents on it. But just an incredible run by the Panthers. And, of course, tomorrow night is Game 4. It's our betcast tomorrow night, so we're looking forward to that. Could be the last game of the series for all we know. And I want to point this out. I became a much bigger fan of Sergei Bobrovsky last night when I heard the interview he did on TNT after the game. He was talking with the crew, and Henrik Lundqvist got to ask him the first question. And his immediate response to the question was, "It's great to talk to you, Henrik. It's a privilege to talk to you. We had some great battles in the past." And remember, back in his Jackets days and his Flyers days, he'd play the Rangers quite a bit. And, of course, Henrik Lundqvist was the great goaltender for them for years. And he said, just great words he had, kind words, respectful words for Lundqvist, saying the great battles we had. And it's just great to be able to talk to you. And you had a great career. And, you're one of I'm honored to have faced a bunch of great goalies in my career that have helped make me better. And he mentioned Lundqvist in that sentence as well. So that was just cool. You could tell that Bobrovsky's got some class to him. And clearly we could see that last night in his post-game interview. That was awesome to see that.
Comes with the age, the wisdom, man.
That is. I think it is too. And I think he knows he's had some ups and downs too. That'll humble you too. If he was not, maybe he's just genuinely nice from day one. But man, when you have the ups and downs he's had too, it makes you even more gracious and respectful of, your opportunity and who you've played against in the past and getting to this point and now 1 win away from a Stanley Cup final. Just remarkable stuff from Sergei Bobrovsky. And just great to hear him so courteous to Hank Lundqvist last night.
Well, it's the best way to learn on your mistakes or your disappointments or your failures. That's the best way to learn. I mean, when you're always successful and it comes easy to you, it's going to be easy to hard. It's going to be hard to learn and, be better as a person and everything. So I think that's what it is. That's the best way.
Ice X in our chat. Oh, nice. Live betcast tomorrow night of the first NHL sweep. There you go. Unbelievable. We're going to get into Vegas, Dallas, but in right now as well. But Game 3, actually, we'll do the Gramco ad first. But I want to mention that we still have a chance for NBA and NHL conference finals across the board to be a 4-game sweep. How insane is that? That both conference finals and both the major winter sports, NHL and NBA, might both have conference finals sweeps. We've got one. Obviously, Denver Nuggets taking down the Lakers. We're 1 game away from Florida sweeping Carolina. We could be 1 game away from Vegas sweeping Dallas if the Golden Knights win again tonight. And of course, we're also 1 away from the Boston Celtics and Sammy working for Nesson. I'm sure there's people in that Nesson studio just fit to be tied after that disgrace they saw from the Celtics the other night, a complete laydown effort against the Miami Heat on Sunday night. Just terrible. Barkley ripped them to shreds, and rightfully so, on TNT throughout that broadcast. Just awful. And they could get swept tonight against the Heat. So much for these great conference finals, right? I mean, we could be looking at sweeps everywhere, NHL and NBA. We will be back in just a moment to talk Game 3 tonight, Vegas and Dallas. Shout out to everyone watching. Hit the like button, and shout out to our podcast listeners as well. Back in a moment, and we'll tee it up. Game 3, Western Conference Finals, Vegas and Dallas coming up after we hear from Gramco.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Gramco. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 THC products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. Gramco is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code IceGuys, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, it is time to talk Game 3, Western Conference Finals. Vegas, Dallas. We've got the Dallas Stars minus 145 current home favorites here in Game 3. The total 5.5 across the board. This is another series where we talked about how Carolina down 3-0. They're wondering, how the hell can we be down 3-0? We haven't played that badly. Dallas probably feels that way about being down 2-0, and they'll certainly feel that way about Game 2. I don't think they were at their best in Game 1. I actually think Vegas did deserve to win Game 1 of this series, but Game 2, Dallas was the better team for 2.5 periods, if not more than that. They kept Vegas at the end of the second period, had barely 12 shots on goal. You talk about a defensive Rembrandt, a defensive Picasso on the road. The Dallas Stars were putting one up in Game 2 of that series. They were up 2-1. Jason Robertson is starting to find his offensive life once again here in the conference finals after having a tough first 2 rounds. They're up 2-1. They're not even giving Vegas a whole lot of breathing room and time and space to make plays with the puck in the third period as well. And when there was an opportunity, Jake Ottinger was there to make a save. So we get down inside 5 minutes to go. And Ryan Suter decides to have a bit of a brain cramp with the puck in his own end, just careless to rim it around to no one in particular but Jack Eichel, who ends up with a beautiful centering pass to Jonathan Marchessault, puts it in, no chance for Ottinger. And just like that, one gaffe in otherwise a terrific defensive team effort from the Dallas Stars, and the game is tied 2-2. And at that moment, I'm like, wow, Vegas has a chance to steal this one when Dallas has been controlling the play for almost the entirety of the game. And wouldn't you know it, bad line change in overtime. Colin Miller is probably the guy that was responsible most for it. Just, you can't be that slow getting off the ice, and it changing at that moment when Vegas is buzzing in the offensive zone. And sure enough, there's no one there to take out Chandler Stevenson, who gets the loose puck, the rebound, bangs it in past Ottinger for the overtime winner. Just a really painful loss for the Dallas Stars. And we're going to find out how much resolve and resilience this group has to pick themselves up off the mat, feeling they should probably be 1-1 in this series at worst, and instead be down 2-0 here in Game 3. But they are going back home, and that's the difference, where Carolina's got to go on the road down 2-0. At least Dallas, they get to come back home here to the American Airlines Center in Dallas. The home ice has been pretty solid for them. Remember, they won a Game 7 here at home against the Seattle Kraken in the second round. I do expect this Dallas team's got enough veterans on it where you shouldn't have to wonder or question what kind of start they're going to have tonight. The start's going to be on fire. I really do believe that for the Dallas Stars. But it's going to be another question of kind of what Carolina's had issues with in this series is scoring goals to either take a lead or extend a lead. Dallas had issues with that in Game 2. It was 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. They never got that third goal. They never got that cushion. And that, I think, ended up hurting them in the end. So I think they're going to carry the play tonight, early in the game especially, with this sense of urgency, down 0-2 on home ice. But they've got to convert it into scoring and put in the puck in the net. And I'll give Aiden Hill all the credit for playing outstanding hockey, but he's still not Marty Brodeur. He's got to be someone that if you're the Dallas Stars, get traffic in front of him, make sure you take some vision away. And the way you do that is, again, make sure you get bodies to the net, make sure you get to the inside of the ice and get those loose pucks. Vegas makes it difficult to get to those areas. That's how good defensively they are. That 1-6 they have on the blue line, I've said it over and over again how good it is, and Dallas can't match them there. But what Dallas's forwards need to do, get to the middle of the ice. And I'm looking at a couple in particular that have not done it as well lately in this series. Tyler Seguin in particular, need a little more from him so far. Robertson's finally scoring, but you need him to step up. It actually was a quiet 2 games for Joe Pavelski, and I don't want to criticize him too much. He's had a great playoffs overall, and he's done great in big games in his past, but he's even got to elevate just a little bit more because I thought he was a little quiet for Joe Pavelski standards, the first 2 games of this series. But for Vegas, Eichel continues to play well. Marchessault has been just outstanding. They've gotten depth contributions offensively from Stone and from Chandler Stevenson and from Nicholas Roy. I mean, there's a different player that can beat you every night for the Vegas Golden Knights. And this is where, if you're Dallas, you need Tyler Seguin and Mason Marchment, Wyatt Johnston. I know he's a rookie, and I know, hey, as the longer the playoff goes, you wonder if these rookie players, they hit a wall and, they're eventually going to tire out and maybe not produce as well. But we're still going to ask that of Wyatt Johnston because he's been that good for the Dallas Stars this year. Elevate your game if you can. The team needs you tonight here in Game 3. Make sure you're drawing penalties. I don't think the Dallas Stars know just how important it is. I think they do know, but enacting it on the ice that you need to draw penalties because your power play is lethal. And even we saw in Game 2, Dallas connected with the power play. That's what gave them the 2-1 lead. Your power play is terrific. I think it's probably, after Edmonton, one of the better power plays in the NHL, the Dallas Stars. So make sure you're winning foot race situations. Make sure you're going that extra mile to win a puck battle. Give yourself an opportunity to get a few calls, get the power play, get the man advantage, and then cash in with it because you have a power play that's excellent. And Vegas's penalty kill still isn't great. It's mediocre. They're here in spite of a marginal penalty kill, the Vegas Golden. They're not a great penalty killing team. It's weird that they're an excellent 5-on-5 defensive team, but they're not a great penalty killing team. So if you're Dallas, get on the power play, win those puck battles, and that's exactly how you're going to get back into the series. I've got 1 Dallas bet tonight and 1 Dallas bet only. It's the first period look. And again, I'm not comfortable in the -145 price with Dallas, even though I do lean that way that they win Game 3, they get back into the series. I just don't love that number, -145, and what's been a tight series. Even in the games Vegas has controlled, especially here against Vegas, the last game in particular, they still end up in a tight game at the end. The draw certainly could get there. We've seen 2 overtime games so far. Finally, we didn't have an overtime game last night, but I still wouldn't talk anyone out of the draw, +350 or so at FanDuel. But I'm going to go with that first period puck line, +170 at Bet365 for that Dallas Stars first period puck line. It's a good price. I expect a great first 20 minutes from the Dallas Stars, and I much prefer that. Either Dallas first period puck line or Dallas to score the first goal. It could be either of those situations, either of those bets I would sign off on here tonight in this game. And just from a value standpoint, I ask, would you rather have Dallas -145 full game money line or Dallas to win the first period where I expect them to be on their toes? I expect them to be strong at +170 to win the first period. I'll take the +170. Thank you. as far as value is concerned. So Dallas first period puck line for me, plus 170. I think I might sprinkle a little bit on this game to go over the total. Game 1 went over, game 2 went under. Is this going to be one of those zigzag theories as far as the total is concerned? To me, if Dallas is going to win, you probably have a chance maybe to see a few more goals than you saw in game 2. So the over 5.5 probably will have a smaller play on that as well. Alex, we'll start with you. Game 3, West Finals, Vegas, Dallas.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that Vegas first period puck line. I knew I was going to attack first period in some form or fashion. I wasn't sure if I was going to go first period over or just Dallas with the puck line. And like I said, I got plus 160 this morning. So I'm seeing better prices popping up now. Like I said, you got plus 170. I saw plus 170 offshore as well. So Dallas has to come out firing hot in the first 20 minutes. You have to win the first period here. You have to build that confidence and momentum back. And like you said, it wasn't that they played a terrible game in game 2 and lost. And even game 1, where, that was a spot that I actually thought Dallas was going to get blown out, and that I loved Vegas to win game 1. I made that, bet pre-series, Vegas to win game 1 and Dallas to win the series. And I just thought it was the same kind of feel of, the last 2 series when Dallas hit on the road, that first game, they just didn't have their wits about them. And especially when you added that coming in off of a tough game 7 win, just seemed like the momentum wouldn't be there in game 1, but they actually played tough, hung around in that contest. So made me feel great about game 2. Okay, they can come out and definitely even things up and get things back on track heading home. But like you said, just a couple of mistakes, lead to them losing that contest. So now I think this is a team, we talked about the resiliency they've had all year. We talk about how great Ottinger plays when he's off of, a loss. And like I said, these haven't been bad games on his part. So he's still been playing decent enough to, keep a team into it. But you need Joe Pavelski to wake up again. He's a guy that I actually will look to take a goal prop at plus 180. I'm seeing at BetMGM. He's definitely the guy that, we saw how much, the team missed him when he missed those games with a couple of injuries in that series against Minnesota. He's the driving force behind everything. I think he's the reason that JR looks a little bit better the way he's been playing in these last couple of games. He gets everything facilitated on that power play. So when Pavelski's on fire, the rest of this offense is on fire, and that's what they're going to need tonight. So I'm going Dallas first period puck line, laying the half goal. Like I said, I got plus 160, but by all means, try to grab the best of that number, and also go with Joe Pavelski, anytime goal scorer at plus 180.
It feels to me like a Joe Pavelski night. If Dallas is going to have a strong start, find some offense, he's going to be part of it. And he's had a quiet series so far. It's kind of weird to say it because we're not used to this from Pavelski, who's just had, what did he have, 8 goals in the Seattle series? And in the Minnesota series, he played very well, but he's been quiet in the first 2 games, uncharacteristically quiet. I expect that to change, though. Somehow, some way, I find, especially in games where the team's back is against the wall, going back to when he was with San Jose, he'd make an impact. Win or lose, he'd find a way to score a goal, a big goal, an important goal. So, yeah, Pavelski props worth a look. You might want to ride the hot hand that is Jason Robertson. You know what it's like with those great goal scorers. Couldn't buy a goal in the first 2 rounds. And now all of a sudden, we've seen J-Rob scoring back-to-back goals here for the Dallas Stars, back-to-back games for the Dallas Stars here in the conference finals. And, when you're looking at his goal prop price here, it's plus 185, in some spots. And I know there's been games this year where his goal scorer prop is like plus 130. So they probably, because of the struggles of the first 2 rounds, you're now getting a little bit of a better price on Robertson as far as goal props. So yeah, definitely Pavelski, Robertson, and Hintz. I think if you're going to focus in on goal props tonight, those are the 3 guys that are going to have to bring it here for the Dallas Stars to try to get their goal scoring production back on track and get them back into this series. As far as Vegas goes tonight, Marchessault's shots on goal just has been ridiculous how much he's been going over his shots props. So you could go in that direction. You can go a goal prop and a point prop for him because his production's been excellent as of late. We keep seeing Chandler Stevenson end up getting on the score sheet. Even just to get a point for him is minus 120. It's not a bad price whatsoever. So those are a couple props I would look at as far as Vegas goes. And I'd mentioned Wyatt Johnston. And yes, he has had a quiet series so far, kind of like Pavelski, who we just talked about. But I think I might sprinkle on plus 320 Wyatt Johnston anytime goal scorer, because now they've pushed him back above that plus 300 again. When he was scoring those few goals against Seattle, they were starting to get, plus 280. and below with his goal prop. Now it's above plus 300 again. So it's a really, really good value price again on a guy that, look, his goal won the game 7 against Seattle. That was the game-winning goal, that beautiful goal. He beat out an icing, and he went roof job on Grubauer in that 7th game. It was a terrific goal. This rookie can play. Yeah, I'm worried maybe he's hitting a physical wall for a young kid who's not used to playing this many games. But I'll take a shot at that price. He finds the back of the net tonight. Wyatt Johnston for the Dallas Stars. Sammy P., what do you think here? Vegas, Dallas.
Dallas regulation, not too scared, honestly, at all. 5-2 at home in the postseason. Not a big sample size, but I think we look at where this game opened and where it is now. You know, on the money line, it was minus 130 at circa, and now we're seeing Chris 150, and 411 is 153. So we're seeing some crawling, right? It's crawling up to that 150 range, and if that's the case, that tells me respected play is on Dallas, and odds are good if Dallas wins. Dallas wins in regulation. So I'm going to turn that favorite into an underdog. Look at Dallas in regulation at plus 15. And I'm not going to lie, I have already logged into some of the apps and looked at Ottinger's shutout at 10-1. Now, I haven't done anything with it yet, but would we be surprised if this was 2-0 Dallas, 3-0 Dallas? I certainly wouldn't. I think you could throw a little bit of peanuts on Jake Ottinger's shutout at 10-1. They need him in the biggest of ways, and hell, I've made worse bets for sure than a 10-1 pop on a guy to shut a team out.
Who in his most recent game in this building, which was, again, Game 7 against Seattle in the second round, what was he, 6 seconds away from a shutout? The shutout, or 12 seconds, it got ruined with like 12 or 15 seconds left. Seattle was down 2-0. They scored. They made it 2-1 with like 15 seconds. It was that close from a shutout in Game 7. And we know Ottinger, when he's on his game, can threaten to keep the goals against at 1 or less. So that's not a bad price, 10-1, in a spot where we would expect him to play well. Now, if not only one loss, but back-to-back losses, which has really not happened all that much for him or for the Dallas Stars. Nikita, what are you thinking here tonight, Game 3?
Well, I think Dallas takes it, but I think it's going to be a scary start for Dallas. I don't know. They might come out, but when you have all these emotions and stuff, when you're losing 2-0 and you're coming out, hot, and all of a sudden some random bounce goes in, and I can see that scenario play out in the first period, and it just gets really quiet. And because a lot of times I feel like it's emotional, you want to come out, but you're losing 2 games. So a lot of times, even if you go trying to be like go, you're still mindful of, like if you lose, it's probably that's it. 3-0 if you lose this game. So a lot of times psychology goes into it, of making mistakes. You're trying to be too careful. You're not feeling too loose. You just, you're trying to score and score first. That's one of the things that people will be talking about. They got to score first. They got to put the pressure on and more pucks to the net and stuff like that. I mean, they could have won. You said Johnson has the great opportunity, doesn't score. They go right back and they score a goal. So that could have been 1-1 going back in there. It's just a matter of execution and, scoring timely goals. I think Jamie Benn steps up, has a couple in there. He's a big captain. I think Pavelski, as you said, it's tough to get in front of the net with a big D like Vegas has. They can skate. They're very big. They're very experienced team. And like you said, the power play, I mean, it's tough to draw. Yeah, you got to get to the dirty areas and stuff like that. But, if they can skate well and they're big, it's very tough to get in there and to draw something. With those guys, I mean, just getting in the puck, throwing a lot of pucks on the net, keep it simple. And I think power play, I mean, Vegas is the least penalized team out there in the National Hockey League. I think that was
they were during the regular season for sure. They've been penalized a little bit more in the playoffs, but in the regular season they were. They
took a lot of penalties with Edmonton, but just because, I mean, look how fast they are. Yeah. I feel like they just had more depth than Edmonton did. Even though Edmonton was just ridiculous on the power play, but that's. I feel like there was one line Edmonton didn't have that depth that Vegas has. So, I mean, I still think Dallas wins here because, in the games that, they had in Vegas, is very even games, on shots, on chances, I feel like. So they're very even. And I think maybe going back to Dallas's side, I think they might, take these 2 games. As long as they don't, they don't get down on themselves, if all of a sudden Vegas scores like 2 goals in the first period or something, because then it's going to get really quiet and very, very scary. I was expecting Vegas to be more dominant at home, but they weren't. So that's one of the things that I feel like that's why people are betting on Dallas back home. Very even game in Vegas. And I believe that, yeah, I'm just, anticipating that something like that might happen, and we'll see how it changes or not.
There's still that little aura of discomfort for me betting Dallas tonight for one very good reason, and it's going back to the other series where Game 2, Carolina down 1-0, played a really solid game, still ended up losing down 2-0. Carolina last night played a very good game again in Game 3, outplayed, outchanced Florida. What do they have to show for it? Another loss. So, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, this may be the inside-out Stanley Cup playoffs, or at least the inside-out conference finals, where the team that gets outplayed wins every game. And maybe we're going to see something like that here throughout this series, because it's just at the end of the day, you can control it and control the flow and have the puck a lot more often than your opponent. But if you're not going to make hay with it and score enough and capitalize enough on those chances, you're going to have a tough time. There is no question about that. So that's the key for Dallas. Not only generate your chances, get to the middle of the ice, which they do have to do a better job, Nikita. You're right. They do. I mean, I don't want to hear about how the Vegas defense is so great. And they are great at it. They're great at cutting off the middle of the ice and clearing the front of the net so that Aiden Hill can make saves. They're great at it. They were great at it at the end of the Edmonton series. You want to know why Edmonton couldn't get shit done in Game 6 of that series, the closeout game? Vegas was clearing them out. You're not getting a second chance. You're not getting a third chance. So maybe they're going to clear out Dallas, and Dallas just can't get to those areas of the ice and get to that front of the net. But Dallas has to find a way, or else they're going to lose the series, just like Edmonton did. So I don't want to, Vegas is doing a great job, but Dallas can't just say, well, Vegas is doing a great job, we can't get there. No, because if you have that mindset, you're not going to win this series. You've somehow got to get there. You've somehow got to get to the front of the net, get those loose pucks, and get it done.
And that's the difference between Dallas in their spot and Carolina in their spot. How many times have we talked about Carolina getting, out shooting teams by a 2-1 margin and losing during the regular season? Or they looked like the better team for 45 to 50 minutes, and then they made a couple mistakes and lost. Like, this is kind of Carolina's calling card whenever they do lose games. For Dallas, that's not the case. Usually when they lose, it's, they just aren't completely focused, or Ottinger's having an off night, and then they're able to bounce back from that. So the resiliency is a lot stronger with this Dallas bunch than is Carolina, just throughout history, where we've seen Carolina just kind of have these games. They get outworked, and then they just kind of, hold their hands up and say, well, we got outplayed, and not really able to do much, coming back the next game and the next couple of games after. Dallas, I think we'll see that fight and that pushback from them.
Yeah, and it'll be a domino effect, too, because if Dallas gets to the traffic areas, they get loose pucks, they're going to draw holding penalties and hooking penalties and cross-checking penalties in front of the net, because they're in those areas where Vegas is trying to clear them out. And if they're getting there, Vegas is going to have to take a slashing penalty or a cross-checking or a hooking penalty in front and put that dangerous Dallas power play, on the ice, which is, it's a domino effect. If they get to those tough areas, they'll draw penalties, and they'll probably score goals, and they'll probably win this hockey game and get right back in this series. So that is the number one element for Dallas. They've got to do that tonight. No periphery play. No more stuck to the outside. Get in front of Aiden Hill and make it happen. That's going to be their ticket to get back into this series tonight here in Game 3. Before we wrap up the show and get to best bets and wrap this show up, we got to get Sammy P's take here on this. I know it's hockey, but we do have Boston Celtics, Miami Heat tonight, Game 4 Eastern Conference Finals. To me, and I'm an all-sports bettor and handicapper, even though this is just a hockey show. Everybody knows I handicap basketball, football, baseball, all the other major sports. I've already placed my Miami moneyline bet. I think this is done, this series. If Boston didn't fight for me in Game 3, how the fuck am I going to trust them to fight tonight here in Game 4? With a Miami team, do you think Miami wants to make an unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted trip back to Boston for a Game 5 when Denver's already wrapped up the West Finals and punched their ticket to the NBA Finals? I don't think so. I think Jimmy Butler's the leader that's going to make sure all the troops follow. The general leads, the troops will follow. Shaq always says that. Jimmy Butler will ensure this team has the focus necessary to win a closeout game tonight, I believe, on their home court in Game 4. Sammy, what do you think of that game tonight?
I hope it ends tonight. Shit. I mean, Alex and I have Miami at 950 to win the East. We did it after Jimmy didn't play in Game 2 against the Knicks. Knicks evened it up 1-1 and went back to South Beach. And I was like, look, they're going to win 3 and 4 and might win it in 5. And then we'll see what happens. But look, man, Boston all season has been inconsistent when it comes to adversity. And every time they get punched in the mouth, they don't get off the mat. And nothing has pointed me in that direction that will change. You know what I mean? Jason Tatum cares more about his damn haircut than he does about, playing defense. And Jaylen Brown wants to be the guy, but he's not the guy. And then Marcus Smart thinks he's the guy. And it's a bad mix. And I think it's clear that the drop off in coaching is big, to go from Ime Udoka, who say what you want about him off the court, on the court, he was a wizard. He was able to put guys in the right spots, and they were a well-coached team last year. They overachieved because of the coaching. This year, the talent is not getting along. Guys are not playing well together. It's your turn, then it's my turn, then it's Nikita's turn, then it's Alex's turn, and we're all going to get our shots up, but we're not going to pass the ball to each other. I mean, they don't even fucking pass to each other anymore.
No.
And it's been kind of weird to watch, honestly, because they have all the talent in the world, but the talent's not working together. And I think you blame the stars, but you also can blame the coach. I mean, he is getting worked by Eric Spoelstra right now. And I don't think there's any meat left on the bone. Maybe Boston wins tonight, but they're not winning 4 straight. It's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, to see that they're going to extend this series even beyond tonight, because it was just such a pathetic effort the other night. I'm just seeing them jack up threes just down the court, throw up the worst shot they can find, the first shot they can find, the worst shot they can find the other night. And it's very appropriate. Jason Tatum was wearing that white suit there the other night to the game, the color white, the same color as a ghost, the likes of which he was in Sunday night. In Game 3, a ghost, and his little buddy Jaylen Brown was as well. Holy shit, what a horrible series he's had, especially shooting the 3 ball. So tough times for Boston sports this springtime with the Bruins and the Celtics combined. If the Celtics do indeed end up getting swept tonight, very, very difficult to see these teams. They both thought maybe we could go back-to-back 2 championships here this year with the Bruins and the Celtics, and sure enough, neither one may get to the final. When it's all said and done. Great stuff. We will wrap up the show with best bets coming up. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. A reminder, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month. Make sure you sign up there. Goalie charts, totals charts, the daily Ice Guys show betting card, bonus video content, many more bonus features on the way as well. So check it out, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month.
Also, this is the last day to save 15% off everything at the Ice Guys store. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Everything's back in stock, all the shirts, all the caps, all the hoodies, everything. So check that out and save 15% off. The link is right at the top once you get to the page, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. We'll wrap up the show with best bets in just a second after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner, with the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete Performance Package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there, and it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code ICEGUYS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, it is time for Best Bets here to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the Ice Guys. We thank our special guests. Great to have a full show. Sammy P, Nikita Kashersky with us. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for Best Bet?
Yeah, let's go with Joe Pavelski to get a goal here at plus 180. That's the price I was able to get at Bet MGM. Like I said, he's had a great postseason. After getting knocked out with a concussion, to come back, have a tremendous series against Seattle. He's got to step up and be part of the rush, be part of this offensive attack to get Dallas back into the series. And I think plus 180 is a more than fair enough price here. So let's go for the Pride of Plover, Wisconsin, Joe Pavelski to get a goal at plus 180. That's my best bet for this game 3.
All right. I was on it in game 2. Obviously didn't find the back of the net. Dallas lost, but I agree. I'm coming back to that. And Alex making it his best bet. Joe Pavelski, Dallas Stars to score a goal plus 180. Alex P. Smith with his best bet. Sammy P., thanks for joining us. What do you got for best bet?
Dallas Stars regulation plus 115. I think Ottinger stands on his head tonight. I think Dallas takes care of business. They've been so good in this series. 0-2, though, because they haven't scored a goal in overtime. I'm not going to hold that against them. Get the last change, too. That's going to help as well. Maybe line up some guys against some of Vegas' top guys. A lot of signs here pointing to Dallas. I'm not going to lay 145, 150, though. Let's regulation it at plus money.
There you go. Dallas Stars in regulation plus 110 for Sammy P. with his best bet. Nikita, great stuff as always. What do you got tonight? I'm sure Dallas, in some form, it sounds like.
Well, I think Dallas wins, and then I say Jamie Benn has a goal, maybe even a couple of points in there. So there you go. That's my bet.
There you go. The captain for the Dallas Stars, Jamie Benn, getting it done. And look, he scored in game 1, and he scored the big tying goal in game 1 to make it 3-3. So there is, he's definitely a good choice, someone to step up when the team needs him. And Jamie Benn to score a goal, and Dallas to win the game from Nikita for his best bet. And my best bet's going to be that first period puck line on the Dallas Stars. I think that's the best way to approach it. It's the best price, the best value, plus 170. Dallas Stars first period puck line. It was actually a very good point by Sammy about the last line change. Vegas is a stickler of a team as far as line matchups are concerned. That's definitely a Bruce Cassidy thing. So to get away from some of the matchups that may not be as advantageous for the Dallas Stars tonight, being on home ice, that could be a benefit to them for sure. So for me, it Stars first period puck line, -1/2 plus 170 for best bet. Great show. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Remember, our betcast for Game 4 Eastern Conference Finals is tomorrow night, Carolina, Florida, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us. We'll live bet the game. We'll watch the game. Drinking encouraged, all that good shit. It's a bar and a pub atmosphere, as Sammy P will attest to. He's been on the betcast with us before, so it's a lot of fun. Make sure you join us tomorrow night for another Ice Guys live betcast. So, look, we've had 2 great guests. We'll give them a chance to have some final closing thoughts and last words. Sammy P, thanks for joining us.
The Boston Celtics are dead, and that's it. That's all I got.
There you go. That's all you got. Boston Celtics. Breaking news there. Boston Celtics are dead. They were dead 2 nights ago, and as last I checked, dead people don't come back to life. So I expect you to be right about that. Nikita, great stuff. We wish you well, of course, with what you're doing off the ice these days. And thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It was always a lot of fun to talk about hockey, some betting. Appreciate you having me on here. And I think Stanley Cup Finals would be Florida, obviously, now.
You're giving us a prediction. Stanley Cup Final. Okay,
yeah.
Who's winning it? That's the easy part. Picking the Cup Final at this rate with one team a game away from a sweep. Who do you think's winning it of the 4 teams left?
Vegas.
Vegas. All right. There we go.
Yeah,
well,
Vegas wins it. The only thing I like that, Sammy. But the only thing that it is the goalie. The goalie. Always the goalies. Yeah. I don't. Not liking that situation if he's going against Bob, but I feel like I don't know. It depends how many games Vegas plays. If Florida has a lot of rest, yeah, I think Florida might have a chance there. But if Vegas finishes it off at the same time, they're just way too powerful and way too strong, I feel like, for Florida to handle right now.
There you go. Sancho in our chat. Nikita's a dope name. So there you go. Nikita, a dope name, says Sancho. So there you go. Liking your first name.
Thanks,
for,
Sanchez.
Yeah. It's got that cool sound to it, I guess. But no, great stuff. That's a wrap. A great show. We appreciate it. Everyone in the YouTube chat, thanks for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex P. Smith and our special guests, Sammy P., Nikita Kashersky, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, and we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.